So I'm a somatic therapist, I'm a trauma therapist, and I work heavily with disrupting the dominant oppressive narrative that all of us have learned, whether we wanted to or not, and actually is in our psyches, whispering in our ears all day long about how we're not good enough, and so forth, right? Those dominant oppressive narratives are in there. So in my private practice and with my students in my groups and my classes, we explore that bit by bit, unweaving it, and we learn how we can enter into our bodies in a way that is not demanding or agenda driven, but is permissive and allowing. So that's a little snippet. Anyone else like to lift up something from that they noticed during that writing circle, or we can move out toward just anything else from the last couple hours or what's coming in, even from earlier today that might be interweaving, right?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, you can go first. Okay. So I was having like a hard time to get into it because I was still at work. But then I shrank myself down, and then I saw the mosses in the peat cutting, and there was like a little red moss. This was like little small and quirky and speaking to me. And then I saw like, oh, they are green little mosses, and they were sitting on top of each other, and they were like chit-chatting like small children, and they were super loud, and they were forming like a large blanket over the wounds of the human exploitation of this peat cutting. And I was like emerging in it. I wanted to bath in this overgrown pond and wanted to see what it's below there, because I know it's dangerous because you can sink in and drown, but what's down there, I don't know. And so I felt like I really want to physically be part of this healing process of this carpet and this peat plant. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I'm seeing lots of resonance amongst your co-creators. So thank you.
So I've just joined, so I'm kind of probably in a different space for everybody, but something that's occurred to me in the last 24 hours is conversations around life and death, and someone I spoke to this morning has been doing a death doula course with this thing called Living Well, Dying Well, and then somebody else I've been corresponding with has been is in a terminal illness, and just thinking about the kind of the value of that kind of that sort of sense of how you can have a profound connection with your life through your mortality, through your death, and something of the peat has within it all of that richness of life and death connected. And that's what's coming up for me.
I mean, I think that I mean, again, I missed the earlier part of this, but I think that what RE-PEAT have done for me, which I think is so amazing, is to create the peat and make the peat this floating signifier. It is a spongy concept which can soak up lots of different kinds of relationships. Like we talk about the inside, the outside. We talk about the poetic. We talk about the structural. We talk about the political. We can discuss and understand like so much of our lives using the peat as a kind of metaphor. It is amazing when you start to sort of like dig into it. Like it really is like this incredibly sort of like both physical and profound intellectual, but also kind of profoundly like poetic and kind of otherworldly. So I just think that you know, as a kind of material to use as a sort of something to think through is actually very good.
Thank you so much, both of you. Yeah, I'm really feeling like the truth of the micro and macro and how they are inseparable, right? And they mirror themselves in everything. There's nothing that isn't the micro and the macro and the interdynamicism that Peat reveals to us, right? That Peat is, that we are with Peat. Language is just never adequate with this. I keep finding myself stumbling with the words and not getting it, but I know you all know what I mean because it's beyond words, and it is words too. Yes, it's exactly perfect paradox. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Other things that are bubbling up for you that you want to give voice to make more real in your cognition and in your conscious attention.
I think it's interesting how I didn't expect, like I felt more like I was gonna go into more I don't know, activist directions, also kind of fueled from the talk before or the session before. And in the end I just started writing about like interconnectivity and death and how it's okay if I dissolve, you know, like I don't know, I think it's interesting how the topic of death and life and continuity and like relation or like interbeingness of Peat and us directly came out with most people in some way. Like it got like how it just became this existential thing for a lot of us, even though it wasn't really, you know, planned. Yeah,
I heard you like, I mean, is it okay if I share a tiny bit of what I heard? Yeah. I mean, I heard a love letter, you know, a love letter of sorts, and love includes death. So it had all of it in it. And I, as an activist myself, who's done a decent amount of protesting in really violent conditions, it's important for me to be in love when I'm protesting. And so I think it's a valuable, I think it is cohesive and it is have continuity. And I think sometimes as activists, we can forget that. And that's what makes activism really unsustainable for a lot of people, is some activists will get disconnected from the continuity of all. And just, it's unsustainable, right? So thank you for lifting it up, Laura.
also reminds me of something Beth, you probably don't mind sharing, like something you said before Peat Fest started, like why are we all doing this, like this moment of wondering why everyone is doing all this work for, you know, without earning money and stuff. And I guess that's like, this is a session to maybe connect to the why.
I would say less of like a general wondering, like genuinely why. I think I know the genuine why, but always just like the bizarreness of it still, you know, kind of like I think I know why, you know, but it's more like kind of like sometimes it just hits you how much kind of communal effort has gone in and stuff like this, you know, that you're like, we just did this off of our own back, you know, we just got together and we're like, let's do this thing, you know. Just as like a little clarification towards, because I think I also know why, but it's still the why, you know? I think it's that weird thing where with creativity as well, where sometimes there's this spooky feeling of you're channeling something from somewhere else. You know, it's kind of coming through you, and maybe nature has this way of finding a way of using humans to kind of do stuff, and we don't know where we are right now. And like, there's a lot of like argument to say, like, what are they trying to, what's, if that's the case, what there's a lot of bad bacteria out there. But I think there's some beautiful moments where I feel myself from being kind of, you know, again, spending all my time doing things which I'm not quite sure why and I don't get paid for. Like, where's it coming from? You know, it's coming from somewhere really magical, like it's extraordinary. And those moments of frustration where you don't understand what you're doing, or you get a bit blocked, you know, it's those, it's sustaining this sort of sense of like, there's something when you get that kind of little, you know, I had a breakdown on Friday and then it leads to a breakthrough, you know, and that breakthrough makes it all worth it.
Yeah, you all are amazing. Like, just what you have co-created it's such an honor, honestly, to witness and be a part of. I'm really looking forward to watching more of the YouTubes. And I mean, as somebody who volunteers a lot, I ask myself the same questions. Like, I think of it as service work and reparations work, and also like like my life depends on it, you know, and other lives depend on it in a way. Like, we're all nurturing each other in the depth that we're coming from. So I heard a lot of that in both of what Bethany and Deborah, what you were saying, and it really, I'm receiving your words as gifts for me to take forward into my life and stay connected to. So thank you.
Maybe a short welcome to everyone who's just
yeah, I know it's always tricky with time zones, you know, the time zone thing, but just whoever's joining in, like, all of the recordings from this whole week will be on YouTube, and you'll be able to, you're actually just coming in the tail ends of this one, but all of the recordings will be available at some point. And so you get to watch this one or other ones if you're just coming in now. I will be sticking around afterwards if people do have other questions about anything that we did today, whether it's the rest or orientation or the nervous system or anything that we started with 2 hours ago now. Time has gone by really quickly, but I'm happy to stay. I don't have another session for another 30 minutes, so I'm happy to stick around and answer particular questions, practical questions, or anything like that. And I'll let you give it back to Lara or Eileen. Yeah, thank you all for coming and showing up.